have computers computing like NVIDIA's GPUs literally everywhere, so that every time you use the computer, it can generate the proper response to you.
When you say, we're going to have all these computers, I think locusts, just how much demand there's going to be, and how do we possibly keep up with that demand? And you just mentioned this stacking. It's the 5-layer cake that you've talked about for a while. Where are the weaknesses? Where are the limiting factors with meeting that demand?
It changes all the time. And 2 years ago, we had enough energy, but we were really short on chips. And it depends on what part of the chips we're talking about. Most people think that NVIDIA is a GPU company because we invented the GPU. But if you look at the systems we're creating today, there are 7 different types of chips. The computer that I'm talking about is probably twice the width of this stage. When we say Vera Rubin, it's twice the width of this stage. Each one of the racks is about $4 or $5 million, 3 tons, 1.5 million parts inside one of these racks. And inside a data center is a football field of these racks. And so these systems have silicon photonics inside. It's got the most advanced memories, three-dimensional packaging, liquid cooling, extremely sensitive electronics all over. And so it's really complicated stuff. We work with just about every chip company in the world, every systems maker in the world. We have the largest supply chain in the world. And so there's a bottleneck somewhere. And so it takes a lot of work just to work through all of that. And then of course, these days, one of the biggest challenges, and this is the part that people don't realize about AI, the first thing that AI is doing right now is creating an enormous number of jobs. AI creates jobs. AI is United States' best opportunity to reindustrialize ourselves because it takes 3 types of plants: chip plants, computer plants, AI factories that we're in. And so 3 types of manufacturing plants, probably several $1 trillion of reindustrialization we can do as a result of this. Nothing is more powerful than using market forces to drive reindustrialization. Like, for example, back in the last administration, there was this thing called CHIPS Act, and everybody was reluctant to build in the United States. When President Trump came into office, we talked and I said, hey, listen, tell you what, I'm going to give $500 billion of orders. I'm going to give $500 billion of orders to these suppliers, and I bet you they come to the United States. Boom, they all came to the United States to build it here. And so using market forces to reindustrialize the United States, it created hundreds of thousands of jobs for the next 4 or 5 years. And then lastly, AI is the world's best opportunity to modernize the power grid. The United States power grid is, if anybody's in the audience related to this, is a little antiquated, and you know that. And so we have an opportunity now, for the first time, to use market forces to invest in sustainable energy. If you want to invest in nuclear, if you want to, whatever version of sustainable energy you choose, you now have, plenty of customers who want to pay for it.
Is NVIDIA going to be investing in energy? Because you all have been making sure you're investing in whatever layer, whatever bottlenecks you find along the way. You recently said that this investment that you're making now in OpenAI will probably be the last one, because OpenAI, Anthropic, they're going to go public. They're not going to need you kind of propping them up. They'll have their own money other places. But what you've done is find where the bottlenecks are and try and invest NVIDIA money there. Is energy a place you would do that, or is that such a big investment hole that it's got to come from other places?
If there were good ideas and we could make a unique contribution, I'd be more than happy to. But most of the people who are investing in energy, their cycle times are, their time horizons fairly long, especially the ones that we're really interested in. And where we need to invest with respect to energy is probably closer to home here in the United States, and probably closer in on the horizon to make sure that the land, power, and shell are sufficiently funded. And maybe we backstop some of that just so that they can get the financing going and get power, inserted. And that's where we're focused. But you're right. We invest in the entire 5-layer cake, and we're looking at strategic points in there that if we invested $1, it activates AI maybe by $100. And so if we can make that kind of an amplification for the entire ecosystem, it would be tremendous.
So where are you focusing right now in that 5-layer cake? If the time to focus on the large language models may be nearing an end, where do you see the biggest chokeholds and the places that you can be effective?
So really great question. So you noticed that we invested in the infrastructure layer,
yeah.
And at first people were a little, wondered why we invested in companies like CoreWeave and Nebius.
Yeah, they said it was circular deals. Why are you doing this? It doesn't make any sense.
That's right. And we invested, say $1, they still had to go raise another $9.
Yeah.
And so we invest some amount, and our anchor investment gave all of the investors confidence that we're behind this company. Well, all of that, everybody who invested along with me on CoreWeave, clearly extremely happy. Everybody who invested along with me on Nebius, incredibly happy. Anybody who invested along with me on Nscale, incredibly happy. And the reason for that is because we could see the demand, and we see the pipeline of opportunities that's coming their way. So in a lot of ways, we're highly informed investors.
That's why I want to know where you're investing next.
Like I said, and so, see, Becky is so alert. When she asks me a question I'm not sure I want to answer, I tell you some history. And she wants to hear the future. Well, here it comes. No, I'm just kidding. And so that was the first thing. The second thing, and I'm going to tell you about something that's really big. And so of course we invested in OpenAI, we invested in Anthropic. But the big thing that's happening in the last 3 to 6 months is that both of these companies and most of the AI native companies have turned, their gross margins have gone extremely positive.
Right, so they've turned the corner.
That's right. Now, when you're making something and your gross margins are highly profitable, your goal is to make more of it, which is the reason why both OpenAI and Anthropic are just racing for capacity, because their tokens, these numbers, these intelligence that they produce, the margins are excellent. Yeah. And so they're excellent. Cursors is excellent. You look across the entire, AI natives ecosystem, everybody. And the reason for that is because finally AI has become useful. Right. That's the big idea. And so I'm hoping that the AI ecosystem is now on their own.
Every level of the cake?
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.